Hare Krishna. Welcome. Welcome everybody. Happy to see you all. So this is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to continue our journey into the third chapter. And today we are going to do slokas 3.12 to 3.15. I think you all received the slokas in the group. So you can keep it in front of you and I will start playing it.
इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देव दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यो यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापा ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात् अन्नाद्भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So does anybody remember what was the key topic that we discussed in the previous session? Okay, we have one person who seems to remember. Yeah, you can look at your notes. It's open book question. Okay, we'll keep it quick. So, Sulataji, what was it?
We had learned that how yajna is a way of living where we offer everything to the source from which everything comes. That is, we live in a sacred reciprocity.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you so much. So if it sounds new, please revise. Because as we said, the goal is for us to internalize and put it in practice. See, I always tell you that the divine has its own ways of working. And I also told you that what we are discussing is so important for us. Because this whole yajna thing is a transformative concept. And I told you it's very important. And see, the way the divine worked is, like some of us, we are also part of the Bhakti Sutra classes. And the way they both coincided, I could not have planned it myself this way. The way they both coincided, yesterday we covered Bhakti Sutra 34. And which spoke about the same thing. Yajna. In fact, today I felt a little confused. Am I writing notes for Bhakti Sutra or am I writing it for Bhagavad Gita? Because that is how when the divine works, na? So even Krishna wants this topic to be very clear and he wants us to internalize it. So please revise the previous one and today we will go a bit deeper. So as Sulataji pointed out, in the last session, 3.10 and 11, we spoke about yajna and Krishna said how everything is a relationship which is a reciprocal relationship. So we will continue today and we are going to see what Krishna does here is Krishna is making a claim, very striking claim to Arjuna. He tells Arjuna that Arjuna, the devas, the cosmic forces that preside over natural phenomena, they are nourished by yajna. And once they are nourished by yajna, they will nourish you with what you desire. So it's kind of a moral diagnosis because the emotional stake is kind of real for Arjuna. Because what is Arjuna's state of mind right now? He's afraid. What is he afraid of? Is he afraid of just a physical battle? No, he's a great warrior. He knows he's capable of vanquishing his enemies. So his fear is not material. What is his fear? One of his fears, he thinks his actions will bind him. He's afraid that his desires may hijack him. He's afraid that if he participates in life at this juncture, then he will get trapped. That's what he was thinking, correct? He was thinking, if I do, I'm damned. If I don't do, I'm damned. If I go to battle, if I kill people, I think I'm going to incur sin. If I don't do that, Krishna, you are saying I'm going to still incur sin. So, so he feels completely trapped. He is in that dilemma now. So Krishna is now providing this answer. He is answering it in a way that reveals a cosmic law. He is trying to help Arjuna understand how the universe works, how the cosmic laws work, so that he can understand that and align with that. So when we live, the fundamental message in the opening shlokas of this set of shlokas is, when we live as givers inside the whole, then the whole will support us. I don't mean whole means not H-O-L-E. This is W-H-O-L-E. When you say Purnamadam, Purnamidam, that whole Shanti Mantram. So that is the whole, the completeness. But if we live just as takers, then what happens? The mind contracts. And when the mind contracts, fear arises. And when fear arises, conflicts arise. It's a very, very simple sounding mechanism, but if you introspect, that explains a lot. So if you take literally what Krishna is saying, Krishna is teaching about devas, and it does not just mean some people. Devas does not just mean somebody named Indra or somebody named Varuna. If you look at it carefully in this context, Deva is, you can just say that these are the powers, these are the forces that are operating within the cosmos, not just outside us. They are the forces that are operating within us also. There was this, I think it was a seminar where Sadhguru was sitting there and there was a intellectual discussion going on. And then one small girl in the audience says, I have a question. And she pretty much asks an existential question. And the way Sadhguru responded was very simple but very profound also. So he said, you want to pretty much understand the Supreme, you want to understand the design, but he says you don't have to seek outside. You can seek within you. There is a miracle that's going on. But it's a small girl. So how do you explain this concept to a small, like maybe 8 or 10-year-old girl, right? So he asks, what did you have for breakfast today? And I don't remember what she said. She probably said something, maybe sandwich or donuts or something. But what he said is, just imagine that you have a donut or a banana or something, and it becomes you. But you don't look at it as a miracle. You don't look at it as something a super intelligence is doing. He says, but instead, imagine there was a machine and somebody put some donuts on one end, and on the other end a human being came out. Then what would you call? Then would you say it's a miracle? Then would you say it is got to be some super intelligence? He's saying, but if you introspect within you, this kind of miracle is going on every day. Isn't it? I mean, you cannot just put a banana or a donut into just a bag or a pipe or a box and expect something to happen. It's just going to rot. But when it is put inside your body, some magic happens. So all this collectively is what Krishna talks about as devas. Okay, so that is what we need to understand here. What we have to also understand is we did not design it. We don't even know. A lot of us don't even know how digestion works. A lot of us don't even know how our blood gets purified. A lot of us don't know nothing about what is happening inside, but it is still happening. No? Like even the greatest, like Manojji can correct me, but even the greatest neurosurgeons, they all say that we hardly understand 15% of the brain. But the brain is still functioning. That means we did not design the brain. There was something higher intelligence, correct? This is the intelligence Krishna is talking about when he collectively uses the term devas. And once we acknowledge this, once we understand this, then our approach to life will change. Then the approach will change from just being a consumer to being a participant. That's a big difference. And what is that participant? When we say participate, what are you participating in? That is yajna. That's what we discussed in the previous shlokas. Just bear with me, and a lot will make sense as we go further into these teachings. Yajna, as we discussed earlier, it can include ritual also. It can also mean somebody sitting in front of a big fire, sacrificial fire. But it is not just that. Yajna is much larger than just a ritual. Yajna is our mindset, internal mindset when we participate in life. So I'm going to ask you a simple question. Let us say a person keeps taking things that does not belong to them. What would you call such a person? Anybody wants to volunteer with an answer? Okay, Deepaji has an answer.
Hoarder, somebody who wants to hoard everything, like.
Well, hoarding is one thing. We are talking about somebody who takes things that does not belong to them. Manojji?
Thief.
Ah, thank you. See, because I wanted to make sure that we are also aligned. Because that is what Krishna is saying. In Sloka 3.12, Krishna says that those who take things without offering anything, he calls them a thief. It's kind of a psychological reality that he is talking about here. So most of us, we are thieves. Because we take things, but we don't really offer. We only think that material things have to be paid for. In the material world, can you do that? Can you just go in a restaurant, eat all you want, and then coolly walk out? We know we cannot do that, right? But look at the larger ecosystem. We are doing it every day. Your body, like there is an intelligence inside your body that is converting the food for you beautifully, but what are you offering that intelligence? Like gravity is holding you firmly, you are not flying away, but what are you offering in return? The sun shines all the time. Without sunlight, nothing will exist, but what are you offering in return? So, by the same logic that we just discussed, Krishna says, when we don't have this mindset of offering, we are all thieves. Now it makes sense, correct? So what is this offering? Krishna is not saying, like, we cannot offer anything material because they are higher intelligences. They don't care about these trinklets that we deal with in our material world. So the only thing we can offer is gratitude, a thanks. And that is the only offering Krishna is talking about. So it is more of a mindset that Krishna wants us to adopt. And what happens if you don't get into this mode? If you are only interested in consuming, take, what makes us do that? We will go into details later, but basically that is the ahankara. Some of you may immediately recognize this is what we spoke in the Bhakti Sutra, where we said, even when you say I'm hoarding, that is a function of ego. Sense of ownership is a function of ego. Sense of doership is a function of ego. So what is the solution? Krishna says gratitude. Gratitude is basically offering. So in our ancestors, this is what they called as prasadam. That the concept of offering prasadam has this science behind it, has this psychology behind it. Because all we are doing is it's an act of thanksgiving before we consume something. And that is all is required. That mindset change. One great mystic said that if you can say only one prayer in your entire life, let that prayer just be thank you. That mystic said, even if you can just say thank you, that would be the most efficient prayer that you can say. Lakshmiji, did you want to say something or?
You said that prasadam is the outcome, no? What we are offering is naivedyam, no? Prasadam is the outcome. Is it not like that?
Correct. So when we have the mindset of offering.
Accepting.
Yeah. So when you
Accepting
are
that.
having the mindset of offering, then what you eat becomes prasadam.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if
So,
it is not offered that way, then what you eat becomes papam.
okay. Okay. Because that's I want to confuse. Because
Yes.
the offering
Thank you.
is
Thank
not
you.
the prasadam, that receiving is the prasadam. That's I want to confirm that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Soumyaji, you had something to say?
Yes, Guruji. So, extending the same concept, then the way we go to the temples and we obviously like ask, basically we are taking from the god and still taking prasadam and taking it like, okay, like I am getting some divine I don't know, blessing, but that is again papam, right, by this definition,
Yes. It's all
because we are not
what
offering
we.
anything to the gods. We are just asking for, yeah, give me this, give me that, right?
Yes. Correct. You know, there is a Marathi poet, Pula Deshpande, and he wrote 2 lines. He said, you know, लोक देवळात जाऊन बाजारात गेल्यासारखे वागतात, 4 आटेने देऊन काही ना काहीतरी मागतात. No, he says that people go to a temple, but they treat it like a bazaar. And they give, you know, a few pennies and they are always asking for something. Definitely. So that is why if you see, Krishna's message of yajna is all about mindset. Krishna will never say you have to offer 100 coconuts or 15 bananas or betel leaves. You will find none of that. All Krishna says is the mindset, gratitude, thanks, humility. And that is what is important, is what Krishna is saying here. So when we go to a temple, it's okay. I mean, God is your my Bap. Who else will you ask help from? But that should not be the intent for your worship. In fact, the best worship is the worship where you are not having to ask anything. You are just standing there saying thanks. The day you can do that, you will feel the difference. You will feel the difference in your heart, where you are in front of God and all you can think of is thanks. It's a very beautiful thing. See, there is a nice little story that can drive home the point. So there was this old businessman, and he falls very sick once, and he falls so sick that he faints and he falls down. So they get an ambulance, they take him to a hospital. And this happened in the USA. So they keep him in the intensive care for a few days, and for 3 of those days, they had to hook him up to an oxygen cylinder and they had to give him oxygen. Finally, on the 4th day, he recovers. So on the 4th day, he is shifted to a general ward, and then the doctor tells him that, hey, looks like you are recovering and we are going to discharge you tomorrow. So far, so good. And once the old man is ready to walk out, they give him the bill. And he looks at the bill is for $10,000. And this old businessman starts crying. And when he starts crying, the doctor is like, what happened, sir? Why are you crying? Like, are you not able to afford this bill? Because the doctor is used to a lot of people not able to afford the bill and all of that. So, but he's a businessman. So he says, I don't really have a problem paying this bill, doctor. Then he says, then why are you crying? What is the matter? You're recovered and you can pay the bill. So what is the problem? He said, I just realized something. Says, you have handed me a bill of $10,000 for 3 days of oxygen that you gave me. I am 70 years old, which means I have lived more than 25,000 days. And in all those days, Bhagavan has been providing me with free oxygen. And I have not even said thank you to him. So that realization strikes him. So this story conveys that message to us, is so many things sustains us, supports us, but we are not even aware of that. We are not even mindful of that. If we were, we will never get into this mindset of entitlement. We will never get into this mindset of, what do you own? When you yourself will not exist if that entire ecosystem did not exist. Is the whole point. So that is the reason Krishna is teaching us to always be in this attitude of gratitude. That is the best thing we can all do. If you can change one thing, if you can, have one mindset change, that change has to be this. That always be in the mindset that I am just a part of a big ecosystem. And I owe, nobody owes me, but I owe a lot to devas or all these external forces, this intelligence, nature, and always be in the mindset of thanks, because they never ask you for anything in return, but your mindset should always be in the attitude of gratitude. That is how you align with truth. How do you know whether you are able to adopt this mindset? Is you have to catch your own thoughts and see if, because mostly for most situations our mind will automatically have this question, what am I going to get? Somebody says, can you spend half an hour in a call with me? Immediately the mind will make a calculation. What am I going to get out of this? Or somebody, you see, no? So I don't have to explain. We all know. Instead, if we can switch and say, what can I contribute? How can I contribute? If that becomes the predominant thought, that means your mindset shift is happening. Because attitude of gratitude is not just some fancy, mantra. It is a mindset shift that has to happen within us. So he is deepening the teaching now when he speaks about those who eat the remnants of yajna. So we said prasadam, but basically any yajna, when we are eating what is remaining or what is returned after the yajna, that is called as yajna shishta. And Krishna's message is, when we eat what is yajna shishta, then we are freed from all kilbisha. Kilbisha means all kinds of impurities. We are not talking here about what oil you used or what turmeric powder you used. This impurity is the energy level impurity, where the food becomes pure. And as Lakshmiji was saying, this is the whole concept of prasadam. Prasadam is received also, prasadam is offered also. One person will do a naivedyam, the Panditji will give back that thing to that person, that becomes prasadam. But then that person will not consume all the prasadam themselves. They will take the prasadam, distribute to everybody else who is around, so that everybody else can have a taste of that purity. So prasadam is both what you receive and also what you... This is yajna. It's a give and take. So this important thing to keep in mind is this whole concept of yajna shishta. They is strongly interconnected with the philosophy of karma, ahimsa and vairagyam. All these are interconnected. How? Because when you offer food and everything else first to Bhagavan, we are not just expressing gratitude, but we are also acknowledging. We are acknowledging that we are just caretakers of our body. We are not owners of our body. Very important concept. We are not our body and we are not the owners of our body. We are just caretakers of this body which has been gifted to us by Prakriti. Have you all heard of this term called Bhuta Shuddhi? It's, maybe you can search on the internet for your own understanding. There is this concept called Bhuta Shuddhi, which basically talks about how you can... It's an advanced Kriya technique, but I will make it very short just for the sake of this discussion. There are some yogis who will tell that they can take a small cup of water or a pot of water and they can literally, in their own words, they can impregnate it. They can make it pregnant. Pregnant means what? Pregnant basically means they will put life into it. The meaning of pregnant, somebody when they say they are pregnant, all they are saying is now they are having another life within them. So they can do that to that water. But what is the point? Water can have another life. Water can become life, but it does not have a body. So they cannot do much with that. They can sanctify the water, but they cannot give it a form without the body. So this body is very important. We need to understand that this body is so important, it is so precious that we have to use it that way, and we have to understand that this is a gift by Prakriti given to us so that we use it as an instrument. There are innumerable souls who are in search of a body. They don't get a body. Not everybody gets a body. And even those who get a body don't get a human body. We don't realize it, but each one of us is extremely lucky to have this body and to have this experience that we are having right now. And once we have this realization, then you will understand that we are supposed to use the body not for just enjoyment, but for the right purpose of evolution and service to that Supreme. And once we do that, then automatically everything about you and your body will change. Once that becomes a reality for you, then next time you have food, you are not going to have food just because you are fulfilling your sensory requirements. Then the food is going to be what will make this instrument the most effective, so that I can serve in the most effective way. I hope this is making sense to you. And also see, the Vedas in general, they prescribe a vegetarian diet for spiritual progress. Of course, they have their reason. However, it does not mean, okay, I'm eating vegetarian food, so no harm is done. No, that's not true. Because even plants, vegetables, grains, fruits, they all have life. So if you are going to eat them for our own enjoyment, it is still, we are going to reap the karmic reactions. We will still be responsible, accountable. There is a karmic account being generated. You are generating bad karma. Even if you cut a plant, even if you pluck a fruit and eat, there is some karma being generated there also. Why? Even if you sit and breathe so many germs you are killing, that is also karma. So, what does it mean? Karma now comes into play, as you can understand. And as we said, you are unknowingly or knowingly killing some life. So, ahimsa comes into play. So, you can already see how karma, ahimsa, yajna, they are all now connecting to each other, you see. This is why Krishna gives a way out. He says, now if you go back to what he told Arjuna, he said, Arjuna, you cannot escape karma. How can you? Now that will make more sense, because even if you are sitting in a cave wearing nothing, even when you breathe, you are killing thousands of life forms, millions of life forms. So there is no escape. So does that mean we are doomed? Does that mean that we are born only to generate negative karma? And Krishna is saying, no, the solution is yajna. The solution is a mindset of gratitude, because you are also a life form and you have been put in this position for a purpose. And if you understand that purpose and if you align with that purpose, then you can escape from the karmic reactions. Now, I hope all this is making sense. So in the traditional context, when food is offered to the fire of yajna, as I said, whatever was offered is what is distributed and eaten. And one thing I want to just let you know, you may already know this, that many pure devotees or elevated saints, they will never consume anything that is not a yajna shishta. They will never eat anything which is not a prasadam. They are very particular about that. But what does it mean? It does not mean that anything you cook has to always go to a temple and always has to be given to a pujari. What it means is, anything you cook and anything before you consume, if you can get into that mindset of gratitude, if you can get into that mindset of thanks and offering to Bhagavan, that becomes a yajna shishta. That is Krishna's very empowering message. You don't need a certified pandit to make your food into a prasadam. We are all empowered. Just get into that mindset is Krishna's message. The opposite is also stated very plainly. Krishna has given us this empowering message, and he's also said the opposite. What happens if you're going to cook and eat only for yourself, your own selfish reasons, for your own sense enjoyment? Then certainly it is papa, it is sin. Doesn't matter if you are having sattvic food, doesn't matter if you are having milk and honey and badam and pista, but if the mindset is of selfish consumption, then that is also papa only. That is also bad karma. So Krishna is very, very clear there. And he's using the phrase Atma Karanat to describe this. I don't want to go too technical. If you have a question, I will answer that. But all he's saying is, if the reason is self, if the reason is selfish, then doesn't matter what you consume, it will create a negative karma. But if the reason is selfless, if the reason is, the mindset is pure, if you're offering, then don't worry much about karma, because it is getting taken care of. So in many parts of India, I don't know, you will see that in many parts of India, there is a culture where the lady of the house, especially in South, the lady of the house will offer a little rice to the crows. Like in my village, when I was living in a village, my grandmother will not let us touch food until the crow has eaten at least some rice. In some other traditions, like I've seen it in Gujarat and all, the lady of the house will feed a little rice or roti to the cow, and they will make sure that it first consumes and then they will consume. And also there are other traditions where they will find a beggar and they will give some food to a beggar before they eat. These are all various traditions. You can pick anything that you feel like, but I just want you to know that these are all not superstitions. These are all based on this profound teaching which has been passed on through generations, that the food becomes yajña based on your mindset, because you are thinking of offering before consuming. And that purifies the food, and that keeps the house and the people who consume the food, it keeps them healthy. Ashaji, you had a question?
Yes, Guruji. So I want to ask, sometimes this happens, no? We are eating a food, leftover food of kids, or sometimes we are eating a stale food, or sometimes we are eating very, masaledar or pyaz vara food. At that time also, if we are offering it, can we offer it to the God before eating it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Don't worry, you cannot make God impure. That is one part of the question. The first step is, yes, try to get into a state of attitude of gratitude for sure. But certainly for your own evolution, you need to move towards sattvic food, because that is what is the message coming later from Krishna. It's a science. It is not about morality. It's not about ethics. It's a science. If you want to drive a Ferrari, then there is a certain kind of fuel that has to go into a Ferrari. You cannot try to use your Garka kerosene in a Ferrari. But if you want to drive a 6-seater, an extremely polluting 6-seater, go ahead. Use kerosene or whatever you want. That's the point. But what we have been given, this body, as we just discussed, it has a purpose. Don't you want the body to function at its best? Don't you want your body to be the Ferrari? Then you definitely have to take care of the food quality. There is no cheating possible. It's not possible that you will indulge in tamasic food and somehow expect to be sattvic. That is not for us. That is only for the enlightened folks who have already passed the stage. For them, it's okay. So I hope that answers your question. Ashaji, first step, offer whatever you consume for sure. Just say, I'm offering. And then Krishna will give the required buddhi to eventually make sure that we go towards the right food. So have you heard of Ramdas? There was a very popular, very elevated saint. His name was Ramdas. Sometime I think around 1600s he lived. And he was an enlightened sage, but it is said that He got enlightenment at a young age of 24. Just imagine how elevated he must have been, what kind of a soul he was, that at the age of 24 he got enlightenment. And also, if you didn't know, Ramdas was one of the very first gender equality people. Back in 1600s he was preaching about equality for women. But in the context of what we are talking today, why I am talking about him is he composed a very beautiful prayer in Marathi that is giving thanks for the food that we eat. And what I can do, maybe I have 4 lines here, but the song is more beautiful. I will not do justice to that. So I can maybe play a short clip of that song, and then later on I will share the link with all of you. It's a very simple thing. If possible, play the song when you are cooking, or play the song before you are eating your food, or at least listen to the song and let it ring in your ears. That's the whole thing. So I'll play the small clip for you, and I'll tell you what the words are first, and then I will play the clip so that you can follow. It's Marathi, very beautiful Marathi, of course. So the 4 lines are: Vadani kaval geta नाम ग्या श्री हरीचे, सहज हवन होते नाम गेता फुकाचे, जीवन करी जीवित्वा अन्न हे पूर्ण ब्रह्म, उदर बरन नो हे जानी जे यज्ञ कर्म. Beautiful. I mean, only a elevated saint can compose like this. So here, listen to this.
वदनी कवळ घेता नाम घ्या श्री हरीचे, सहज हवन होते नाम घेता फुकाचे, जीवन करी जीवित्वा अन्न हे पूर्ण ब्रह्म, उदर भरण नो हे जाणी जे यज्ञ कर्म. श्री हरी श्री हरी श्री हरी
Wasn't it beautiful? So I'll share the link. It basically means while taking a mouthful of food, take the name of Hari. Chanting the name of Hari will make digestion easy, and he is calling that digestion as Havan. Havan is what we use in a yajña. So there this Ramdas is saying the digestion happening wherever it is happening, that is also a Havan. And this consumption of food is also a yajña. And this food brings life to life. Therefore it is compared to Purna Brahman. Because that is Brahma's job, right? He gives life, and the food also gives life. So food is Brahma. So it deserves the respect. Isn't it beautiful? So I will share the link later. You can all read that, listen to that. And then in 3.14, Krishna is explaining the cycle. He explains the cycle very beautifully, where Krishna says, Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavah yajñad bhavati parjanyo yajñah karma samudbhavah. From food springs forth life. From rain, food is produced. And rain itself arises from yajña or sacrifice. The most beautiful part is the last part. And where is sacrifice itself being born from? This is going to be maybe a tough question, but it's a very introspective question. So you see the chain that Krishna is talking about. He's saying food from life comes from food. Food comes from rain. Rain comes from sacrifice or yajna. He's saying, where does yajna come from? We have studied it already. Think about it. Yes, okay, Deepaji has an idea.
Vairagyam, detachment.
Okay, detachment is necessary. That is an ingredient. But Krishna gave a very empowering message. Yes, Sharmaji?
Action without attachment.
Excellent. Give him an applause. Now see how everything connects. When Krishna said, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, there, it had so much power behind that. Because Krishna says, when you learn to perform any action without expectation, that becomes yajna. Because that is offering. That is why Krishna said, offer the results to me. It's not, Krishna doesn't need your karma. Krishna doesn't need your offering. That is not for Krishna. That is for you. Because when you perform any action with that mindset, when you offer to Krishna, that is yajna. And see, now do you understand what Krishna meant by saying yajna means it is a relationship? Because what you do is yajna. From yajna, you are impacting the rains. And the rain is impacting food, food is impacting life. In other words, you performing your action without expectation is somewhere impacting life itself. So powerful, so empowering. Think about it. It is worth thinking, introspecting. It's a very powerful, very beautiful concept. And that is what 3.14 is all about. Krishna is explaining that cycle to us. Annad bhavanti bhutani. He's saying all beings come into existence from food. Parjanyad anna sambhavaha. This is a very beautiful use of word again. Here parjanya is not just physical rain. Parjanya is also anything that nourishes. No, collectively you can call it as parjanyam. Yajñat bhavati parjanyo. From where does nourishment come? He says nourishment is possible only when you start offering yajna. And yajna karma samudbhavaha, where that whole yajna itself is generated from your karma. What kind of karma? Like Manojji beautifully explained, nishkama karma. So nishkama karma is not just a fashion statement. Nishkama karma is a very powerful tool that makes you a direct participant in that cycle of the cosmos itself. So powerful. So that is a map. Krishna has given you the map. Krishna has given you the names. Krishna has given you the path, shortest path. He has given you everything. All we have to do is accept and follow so that we can reach the destination, that we want to reach. And then the final verse in this set, 3.15, it is taking the teaching to the ultimate depth, where Krishna is saying that where does karma arise from? Any answer? So we now traced it all the back. We starting from life to rain to yajna to karma. Now Krishna is making us think, okay, where does karma itself come from? What is the cause of karma? At least you're thinking. Yes, Chitraji, you have some ideas?
It's yajna.
No, karma generates yajna. So the question is, what generates karma? And in other words, who is responsible? What is the cause of our actions? Gautamiji, you want to say something?
It's all expecting the fruits of the things what we do it.
Yeah, you are giving a kind of a motivation that most of us have. That is correct. A lot of us have that motivation. But regardless, the philosophical question is, doesn't matter what karma we perform, what is the cause of that, Smitaji?
Our thoughts, and if we act on our thoughts, that's when the action gets established. So everything is based on our thoughts and how we act on it or react to it.
Beautiful. Where do you think those thoughts come from?
The thoughts come from.
I'm just making you all think because, it's Manan. Manan is going on here. Okay. Simranji, we didn't hear you much today.
Yeah, is it our sanskaras, Guruji?
Okay. It's all right answers, but there is, it's not easy to just say what Krishna is thinking here because you have now given it a thought. Now Krishna's answer will make sense, where Krishna says that karma arises from Brahman. But what does it mean? In this context, when Krishna says karma arises from Brahman, does it mean that Brahman is coming and moving our hands? Because that is a misunderstanding many people have, right? When they say that, not even a leaf moves without God's will, does that mean God is coming and moving each leaf? Is the question. So in this particular context, what he implies by the word Brahman is the knowledge base, the Vedas, the sacred knowledge that teaches us dharma and also the guiding principles of right action. And I'll tell you why that is what he implies directly, because where does the Vedas come from? The Vedas come from Akshara. That is why it is called as Akshara Brahman. Akshara. Kshara means that which can perish. Akshara is something that cannot perish. So the Vedas themselves come from the imperishable. Therefore we can say, okay, now does it make sense that anything that we act is based on our own knowledge base that we have, the data that we have, that tells us what action needs to be done, correct? Now where is that knowledge coming from? The absolute knowledge that humankind has is the Vedas. But then where does the Vedas come from? Akshara. Where does the Akshara come from? That is Brahman. So Krishna is short-circuiting it and saying karma is coming from Brahman, but it doesn't mean Brahman is shaking your hands. It just means that Brahman is the source. He provided the Vedas gave all the guiding principles, and hopefully you are acting based on that. That's the whole message here. And what is Krishna saying here? Krishna is saying that after understanding all of this, my dear, now probably it will make sense to you when I say that spirituality doesn't mean withdrawing from life. Because we just discussed how you are all participants in life. We just discussed the entire cycle of the cosmos. So how can it be that you can withdraw from this cycle and become spiritual? Doesn't it sound contradictory? Doesn't it sound nonsensical? That is pretty much what Krishna is saying. And why he is saying that here? Because this matters to Arjuna. Is Arjuna sitting on the top of Himalayas? Arjuna is standing in a battlefield. Now he needs to understand why his idea that if he runs away, he will somehow become spiritually evolved is flawed. So instead of just telling him, I am telling you to fight, that's not how Krishna approached the topic. Krishna explained the whole cosmology to him. He explained the cosmic law. He explained how the cycles work. He explained how that rightful action has a connection to karma, has a connection to yajna, has a connection to the rains, has a connection to food, has a connection to the entire life. So beautiful, so powerful. So Arjuna had to listen to this. Arjuna had to understand this. Arjuna thinks he can escape and get freedom. Krishna says that is not how you can get freedom. How you can get freedom? Don't think of escaping and getting freedom. Think of participating and getting freedom. So then Arjuna will ask, how can I participate in a way that gives me freedom and not bondage? He says, participate with alignment. So I have explained the entire law to you. Now you have to participate, but participate in alignment with this law. That is giving you true freedom. You can take down some references and as a homework, you can read it yourself. I know like some people like Someji, they already like reading Upanishads and all. So Mandukya Upanishad 1.1.7, it basically says that as a spider sends forth and draws back its thread, as the herbs grow on the earth, as hair is growing from a person, just like that, from the imperishable, from the Akshara Brahman, everything comes forth. And then another Upanishad, another reference is Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1.1. There also it says that from which everything is born, by which once born they live, and into which they enter upon departing, that is to be known as the Brahman. See, throughout Vedanta you will see that there is a struggle. Not struggle in the sense they don't know. Struggle in the sense how to make somebody understand. Because the concept is so profound that they have to use so many different words, they have to use so many different angles, but they are all talking about the same Akshara Brahman. So no, this whatever we are learning, it is addressing Arjuna's fear, because Arjuna is stuck. Where is Arjuna actually stuck? In personal consequences, personal guilt, personal entanglement. And now Krishna is lifting him to the wider truth. He says, Arjuna, action is happening inside a cosmic field. You are not an isolated piece. You are part of the entire cosmos. It is a cycle and you are a participant there. And when your action is aligned with dharma and performed as a yajna, it contributes to the entire cosmic flow. Conversely, if our action is aligned with just our cravings, because what is craving? When the senses are saying, I want sweet, I want bright, I want this, I want that. I, right? It's ahankara, it's ego. And if we act based on that, then the opposite. Then instead of aligning with the flow, we start obstructing the flow. What happens when you try to obstruct the flow? It is you who is going to get into the path of pranashyati. You know, there is a ocean current and you try to, instead of aligning with it, you are trying to oppose it. It's not going to impact the ocean. So that is what Krishna will say, that is just going to take you down. So be very careful. Now do you understand why Krishna says, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada, Agama Payino, Anitya, Stantitiksha, so many things he said. He said, control your senses. It is not that you have to become like a sannyasi, because that is the science, that is the fundamental. He says, if you cannot control your senses are a function of your ego, ahankara, then your actions will be aligned with your ahankara rather than being aligned with the cosmic flow. And if you are not aligned with the cosmic flow, how can you evolve? You are only going to go down. You see, so this is a very beautiful scientific explanation. And coming back to devas, just a quick some tips, like what are the devas we can think of within our own body? The power of speech, that deva we call as vak. The power of sight, that we call as chakshu. The power of digestion is agni. The power of mental clarity is buddhi. Each is supported by the whole. So when we live in a way that will nourish these, they thrive, and when they thrive, we thrive. That yajna happens in our body whether we realize it or we don't realize it. See, when you eat proper food, your body becomes strong. When we say your body becomes strong, that means your hand is also becoming strong, your leg is also becoming strong. What is the result of that? They are able to now find more food for you. You see the cycle. You nourish the body nourishes you. So I'm just giving some examples so that this becomes clearer in the mind. Again, if you eat with mindfulness, if you eat in moderation, if you eat sattvic, then that mouth becomes a gateway for purity, for nourishment, for evolution. But if the same mouth you use to eat just whatever your senses are craving for, then that same mouth takes you towards disease. it takes you towards destruction. There is no external force that will come and say, oh, you ate meat, you drank alcohol, so I'm going to punish you. No, you don't need any external police. You are empowered. You are empowered to destroy yourself, or you are empowered to elevate yourself, is the whole message. Which way do you want to go? That is Krishna's teachings pretty much. And then Krishna will say that yajña is the bridge between the terrestrial and the celestial. So I'll keep it short. So let me just go to the core of it. Is again, this was one of the essence, one of the key aspects of 2.47. Hopefully everybody knows what 2.47 is from Bhagavad Gita. So please revise that. Now read 2.47 with this knowledge and see and watch it reveal more secrets to you. You know, now when you read the same sloka, it will reveal a lot more to you. Now I will come to the other part. Again, this is like so touching that Krishna made us revise the same thing in two different scriptures at the same time. I don't know how that happened. So the Bhakti Sutra students, you may recollect, we were asking that if you have the knowledge, if you know what is supposed to be done, what is right, why is it that we are still sometimes doing what is not right? It is not that you are a jnani, you are a jnani. You know anger is wrong, you know jealousy is wrong, you know resentment is wrong. You have the knowledge, you have the viveka, but still you are not able to stop. And we gave an explanation there, and pretty much here is the same question coming is, if the teaching is so simple, because whatever we learned today was simple, I hope. There was nothing complex there. There were no complex equations, no mathematics. It was simple. So then why is it that we are not able to follow? Is the question, $1 million question. And in Krishna's teachings here in this context, the answer is very simple. Anybody knows? If I give you a hint and say the answer is one word, it's just one word, okay? Okay, Lakshmi ji wants to say something.
Laziness, first one, I can say. The laziness. And then postponing of everything, because that is also...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other ideas? Deepa ji, you wanted to say something?
Ananya Chintan.
No. I am asking, what is the one word reason that prevents us from following these teachings, that prevents us from putting the teachings to work? Yes, Manoj ji?
Ego.
Yes. Isn't that what we just learnt like 20 minutes ago? You know, all the vikaras, if you see, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Matsarya, everything if you see, it cannot exist if the I doesn't exist. Correct? Like anger means what? Anger means something I expected did not happen, or something I did not expect happened. In both the cases, anger comes. But if there is no expect, where will the anger come from? And if there is no I, how can the expect come? So the one word answer is ahankara. And we have to be aware of that. That is why we keep on beating home this point of pride. You know, the funny part is I have seen people get very angry and they will tell that, what do you mean I have pride? I have absolutely no pride. You are mistaken. And they'll stop talking to me after that. You know, so but we have to introspect. You know, this is not for judging somebody, this is not for labeling somebody, but it's for us. It's very difficult. If you think you have overcome pride, that is also a function of pride. Because if you are humble, you will know that pride is not an easy adversary. You know, as long as the sense of I is there, until you get self-realization, there will always be I, there will always be ego. The point is, how do we become more mindful of it and how do we manage it better is the whole point. Because ahankara does not operate out of logic. Ahankara operates out of fear. The ahankara is what always makes you feel like you are isolated, you are alone, you are insufficient, you are lacking. If I give something, I will lose something. If I do something, I will be taken for granted. But I will always be there. It is the ahankara. So we need to keep that in mind. And also this whole concept of sanskaras, vasanas, these are all technical terms, but basically all that means is you have data, that data gives rise to impulses, that impulses gives rise to thoughts, thoughts gives rise to actions, so on and so forth. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to clean up that data we have, and that data is what we call as sanskara. And how do we clean it up? Is through yajna. And what kind of yajna? Nishkama karma, definitely. Or you can also do japa yajna, that is considered to be the most effective yajna for Kali Yuga. Harer nama, harer nama, harer nama eva kevalam. Kalau nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva gatiranyata. So basically, that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also said, that do japa yajna. Japa yajna, what is the difference between just japa and japa yajna? Any ideas? Now you know what is yajna, so I'm asking what is the difference. Okay, Simranji, you raise your hands first.
If we do nishkam, then it is yajna.
What does it mean?
Without expecting anything.
Correct. Because it is not that, oh God, I have chanted 108 times, let my son pass the exam. I will chant 1000, let me get H1 visa. Oh, not like that. You are chanting just for the sake of chanting. That converts japa into a yajna. And that yajna is very powerful. Very, very powerful for Kali Yuga. If you can chant even 100 a day, 100, that doesn't matter. Of course, keep a minimum count, but the count is not important. If your mindset is there, you should be chanting all day. You should be chanting all the time in your mind without any expectations. That is the biggest yajna that you can perform. Walking, talking, sitting, cooking, dancing. You are performing yajna. Such a great power that has been given to us. That is the advantage of being born in Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga, all you have to do is that. Okay, what else should we cover here? How do we associate yajna with modern work? Because we always want to know how can we apply this practically. We already spoke about some practical aspects, but especially people who are working, they are the ones who are mostly stressed, and they are the ones who have all the questions on how does it apply to me? See, a simple example. This happens most of the times in IT companies, and I think we have many IT people here. What happens is there will be this one smart engineer who knows about one part of the system, and they are not going to tell anybody else how they solve a particular problem. It is their secret. Why they are keeping it to themselves? Because they think if they share, it will reduce their value. They think they remain valuable if they keep it to themselves. What is the cause of this kind of a thought? Again, one word. What is making them think like that? Yes, Someji.
Ahankar.
Yes, see, I'm so happy that now the answer has become obvious. And see where all it kind of manifests, But you see what happens when that person does like this. Because I've been in the industry for very long, so I have seen this play out many times. And some of you have been in the industry for a long time. It is not just IT, it happens in every domain. It happens in medicine, it happens in law. Everywhere where somebody thinks they have to withhold some information, they have to withhold something because otherwise it will reduce their value. If you see, what eventually happens is people stop trusting them. And when people stop trusting them, what happens? Whatever they feared actually becomes a reality. Their value actually goes down. Because people are also now not sharing things with him or her. Because it is an ecosystem, one person cannot know 100% of everything that exists. So once you stop sharing, eventually others will also stop sharing with you. It's natural. And once that happens, what you are afraid of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are withholding information so that it somehow will make you valuable, but actually it is reducing your value. This is where if you are in a workplace, now you need to change your mindset. You don't become that person. And now tell yourself that I need to be in the mindset of a yajna. Of course, use your discernment and all. Don't give company secrets to somebody. That is not the point. The point is, don't get into this mindset of I have to hoard this secret, I have to hoard this information because it is going to keep me valuable. Tell yourself that is going against the flow of yajna, the mindset of yajna. Trust the process. This is what it means by trust the process. Align. If your junior comes to you and asks you, can you help me? How do you solve this problem? Be open, be free, share. You will be surprised how all it comes back to you later. So it's a very practical way to apply it. I gave you just one example. Of course, I think you can think of many other examples. Because what happens is today everybody says it's a competitive world and all of that, but it's okay. Competition should only be with our own self. Competition should always be with, am I better than what I was yesterday? Get into that mindset and don't hoard anything. Don't get into a scarcity mindset. Be free, be open, believe in the mechanism of yajna, and then see the magic happening in your life. Even in your workplace, things will automatically transform for you. Because there what happens is, instead of fear-based, you get into value-based. Instead of consumer-based, you become a contributor-based. I'm trying to now wrap up this session. I know we have already taken a lot of time. So let us just conclude the session by saying Krishna is offering Arjuna a way of acting without getting bound by his actions. Krishna is giving Arjuna a law that is both cosmic as well as intimate. He is teaching Arjuna how life is sustaining life through this reciprocal arrangement. And when our actions are aligned with this, every action becomes yajna. And yajna can never be papa. Yajna can always only have a positive outcome. So yajna is the remedy. Yajna does not demand anything dramatic. Yajna is only asking for a steady mindset of offering and being a contributor. And once we learn to be a participant, once we learn to offer, once we learn to receive as a prasada, then we are actually being a part of the cosmos. We are supporting the cosmic flow. And the saying goes, when you support the cosmos will support you. Because that is the law. See, everything in the universe is a law. It is a law of gravity. It is not the idea of gravity, right? It is law of thermodynamics. Just like that, it is all a law. The entire universe works on laws. So you are not so special that the universe will make an exception for you. So you are very much an integral part of this universe, and this law says that when you nourish, you shall be nourished. So you never have to be in doubt. Just trust the process and follow this law and get into a mindset of yajna. So now with this understanding, now if you go back to the second chapter where Krishna says, Arjuna, pick up your bow and arrow and fight. Now tell me, does it still sound like Arjuna is the saint and Krishna is the villain? That is what I wanted to drive home. Is once we have the complete knowledge, then we will begin appreciating what Krishna was. So with that, Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, I will open the floor. Otherwise, I will let you all go. I have taken a lot of your time. So thank you so much. And definitely looking forward to seeing you in the next session.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Hare
Thank you.